I mistook a Beijing socialite for a broke student and offered her 50 yuan a month to be my sugar baby. She watched me act like a fool every day, cold and indifferent. I wasn't happy about it. I even scolded her for giving her sponsor attitude. Then my parents took me to a matchmaking banquet. She was the center of attention, and my parents were bending over backwards to please her. I was frozen in shock. She leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Got quite the appetite, huh? Planning to make me your mistress?" I went to my sister's dorm to look for her, but she wasn't there. Instead, a tall, fair-skinned, stunning girl answered the door. She'd just gotten out of the shower, smelled amazing, and was drying her hair with a white towel. My heart skipped a beat. I was smitten. I love at first sight. The towel and robe were clearly my sister's. She had said there were 3 people in their dorm. One was a Beijing socialite who never showed up, and the other was a broke girl named Julia. I hung up before I could call my sister. "Who are you looking for?" she asked, her voice silky smooth. She stood tall, almost intimidating. Beauty really does come with presence. "I'm looking for my sister, Isabel Dawson," I said, squeezing past her. She frowned and stayed by the door. "She's not here." My sister told me Julia Anderson was poor, but very proud. Her mom was sick, so Julia worked long hours at a bar to pay her medical bills. My sister had tried to lend her money, but Julia wouldn't take charity. I looked at her with a hint of sympathy. "I came here for my sister, but now I'm here for you." She closed the door, drying her hair while eyeing me up and down. Something felt off. If Julia had such strong pride, why was she using my sister's stuff? My eyes landed on her long legs. I swallowed hard. Her voice cut in. "What do you want from me?" I said. "You need money, right? I can give it to you." She turned, confused. I quickly did the math in my head. My sister and I were from a decently wealthy family, but our parents never let us splurge. We got 10 yuan a month. I had a bit of allowance saved up, and I figured a poor student like Julia had never seen real money. So I said, "I want to sponsor you. Don't tell my sister. I'll give you 50 yuan a month. I heard your mom's sick. How much do you need?" "I'll give you the money now, and deduct it from my future allowance." I felt embarrassed after saying that. Couldn't look at her. My hands were trembling from nerves, my face turning red. I heard her chuckle lightly. She sat on the table beside me, looking down at me. That threw off the power dynamic. I cleared my throat and added softly, "My parents don't give me much spending money right now, but I'm already giving you half. If they give me more later, I'll raise your pay." I looked at her sincerely. Deal? As soon as I said it, I wanted to slap myself. I was the customer here. Why was I acting so meek? Then again, King Yu lit beacons for a smile. If I'm bending over backwards for a beauty, that's totally fair. Besides, if she found a real rich guy, he'd outbid me anyway. I didn't have much money, so I figured I'd offer some emotional value instead. A long, elegant hand grabbed my chin and tilted my head up to face her. Her eyes were ice cold. Maybe I'd hurt her pride bringing up her family's poverty. I instinctively grabbed her hand, scared she might choke me. The moment our skin touched, we both jolted from the shock. This had to be hormones. I was overwhelmed. "Do you even know who I am? And you're trying to buy me?" I nodded. "I know. You're my sister's roommate, Julia. I also know your mom's sick and you need money. My sister wanted to lend you some, but you refused charity. Now I'm sponsoring you, and as long as you do what I say, it's not charity. It's a win-win." She looked like she couldn't decide whether to laugh or be mad. After a while, she let go. I didn't want her to. I even held onto her hand. It felt so good. Long fingers, soft and warm. Once I touched it, I didn't want to let go. I always thought I was a good boy, never into girls. Turns out, I just hadn't met the right one. Once I fell hard. She pushed my hand away, grabbed a cigarette from the box on the table, and lit it with practiced ease. She looked at me through the haze of smoke. My scalp tingled. Damn, Julia was tough. She smoked too? I was just about to beg her not to tell my sister. If she did, my parents would definitely find out and cut my allowance. But after a long pause, she said, "Fine." Huh? We left together to celebrate with a nice meal. Well, she walked behind me. I led the way. My parents had strictly forbidden me from dating. Even though I was in college, they said they'd pick someone for me. They didn't trust anyone I liked. So, yeah, this had to be kept under wraps. We caught a ride at the school gate. I wasn't from this university. Mine was next door, a 15-minute walk away. We went to a mall to eat. Julia had pride. Even though I was now technically her sugar daddy, she still carried herself better than me. I felt a little humiliated. Once we got a private booth, I pulled out my phone and added her contact. I glanced at her phone and said, "Wow, you've got the latest iPhone?" "It's a knockoff." No wonder she couldn't resist me. Her profile picture was a dog. With her hand resting on its head, her hand looked beautiful. I asked, "How much do you need for your mom?" She took a sip of water. "Whatever you think is right." I thought for a second, nervously biting my finger. "How about 50, 0 to start?" She crossed her arms and stared me down. 50,000. What? Am I a beggar to you? I wrinkled my nose. That's how you talk to your sponsor? Even a beggar dares complain the leftovers are cold. She looked at me with a mocking smile. I winced and offered her 200 instead. "You're mine now," I added. "You have to listen to me. I paid for this." That money was originally for a summer trip abroad with my roommates. Guess I'd have to scam some from my sister now. After she took the money, she finally gave me a smile. First time sponsoring someone? I sipped my passion fruit juice and nodded. "Just don't tell my sister, okay?" "She'll kill me." She nodded. "Obviously. If you're dead, where would that leave my meal ticket?" I nervously reached for the hand she had resting on the table. She didn't flinch, just stared calmly as I clumsily touched her, like some lecherous old man with a beer belly from a period drama. But since she didn't pull away, I felt kind of proud. Maybe the money was worth it. After a couple of strokes, the waiter came in with the food. I quickly withdrew my hand. After dinner, I dragged her to a movie. This time, I boldly interlocked our fingers. Money really was power. If I had pursued Julia the normal way, it would have turned into a whole campus romance drama. Rich guy chases poor girl, she resists, gets touched, they fall in love, then get torn apart by his parents or her mom. I'd be lucky to hold her hand after months of heartbreak. But not now. I fast-tracked everything. First date, dinner, hand-holding, movie. On the way out of the mall, I had to head back to school. No classes that afternoon, but as a freshman, I still had mandatory evening study sessions. I looked at Julia, reluctant to leave. "You should stop working. It's dangerous and hurts your grades. You'd be better off focusing on school, get a scholarship or something." She stared down at me, saying nothing. I poked her side. "Don't act like that. I'm talking to you." Yeah, got it," she said lazily. I dropped her off at campus. As we parted ways, my canary was still so cold to me. What was I supposed to do? I searched every platform for advice on what to do when your sugar baby is emotionally distant. Nothing worked. After sponsoring Julia for 2 weeks, I'd asked her out 10 times. She only agreed 3 times. And every time, she'd leave right after eating, saying she was busy. I felt like I'd been scammed, but I couldn't tell my parents, teachers, or friends. I just had to swallow it all. Just as I felt completely used, my parents bought apartments near campus for me and my sister. My sister had been complaining that Julia came home too late and disrupted her sleep. They'd even fought over it. My grip on my chopsticks tightened. I blurted out, "Is she okay?" My sister glared at me. "Am I your sister, or is she?" No wonder Julia had been cold to me. She must have been back to working again. I figured the money I gave her probably only covered some medical bills. And since she fought with my sister, she was probably taking it out on me. I quietly resolved to soothe her fragile soul. She was here all alone, no family. Carrying all that weight must be so hard. So, when my parents gave us those apartments, I called Julia over and brought her to mine. I opened the door. It was fully furnished, high-end, barely used. The previous owner had moved abroad. Luckily, mine wasn't in the same complex as my sister's. I handed her a key with ceremony. She glanced at the spacious living room, face unreadable, noble, and unfazed. She raised a brow. "This for me?" My heart leapt. For you? Was I really ready to give it away? I just meant for her to live there. No more putting up with my sister. What, you want the key back now? I rubbed my nose. My sister said you got home late, and it kept her up. You two even fought. If you stay here, you won't have to deal with her anymore. Also, who knows if she had other sugar daddies? I needed to keep an eye on her. I added in a low voice. And honestly, we've been together this long. Just looking, no touching. That's a ripoff for me, don't you think? Next thing I knew, she had me pinned against the wall. Her intense presence engulfed me. I felt like prey, but I didn't want to look scared, so I glared back. Then her soft lips touched mine. Thank God I brushed my teeth before I left. I was thinking that when she opened her eyes, frowned, and said, "Close your eyes. Don't know how to kiss?" I suddenly felt insulted, and then boldly kissed her back. When we were done, she wiped blood from the corner of her mouth. "Luke Dawson, are you part dog?" My face burned red. "Who told you to look down on me?" She looked amused, and I felt awkward. She patted my head, and I immediately felt comforted, like someone was petting a grumpy cat. I started planning our future together. "You don't need to work anymore. Just stay here and be my girlfriend. I'll give you another 2-0 from my allowance." I finally understood what it felt like to be an emperor promoting a concubine. She lounged lazily on the sofa. I continued, "From now on, when you're not in class, you'll be here waiting for me to come home. Got it? And what about you?" "Me?" I wanted to be with her all the time, but I couldn't show that. She'd totally take advantage. Plus, I was down to 3-0 a month. I didn't have much left to offer. This relationship was on thin ice thanks to my poverty. Of course I'll come back. I'll be here with you too. But sometimes I've got to go home. My parents are strict. I had to go home on weekends. Weekdays, I could hang with her. Honestly, I thought I was a genius. Eager to taste the joy of cohabitation, I nudged her. "Go make me dinner." "I don't know how." "Don't say you don't. From now on, you say, 'I'll learn.' Got it?" She gave me a cold stare. I stared right back. "You want me to cook for you?" "I don't know how either. Go cook, now." After a moment, she sighed and walked into the kitchen with her phone. I flopped onto the couch and turned on the TV. Life was good. I remembered my roommate, who had a sugar mama. He got loads of cash and gifts every month. Maybe I'd been too stingy with Julia. No wonder she wasn't obedient. But I wasn't some fat, greasy sugar daddy. I was a young, handsome college student, so I figured Julia wasn't really losing out. I consoled myself with that thought and waited for her to make dinner. Unsurprisingly, Julia really didn't know how to cook. I'd even bought pre-seasoned steaks that only needed a quick pan fry, and she still managed to burn one side. Maybe she'd never seen steak before, coming from a poor background. I gave up. After dinner, she dumped the dishes in the sink and went straight to the couch, pulling out her phone. I snatched it from her hand. "I've been meaning to say this." "Oh, you're always glued to your phone." "Is it prettier than me?" "No more screen time. Go wash the dishes." I went to check her phone, but it had locked. I handed it back. "Unlock it. I'm doing a spot check." She snorted. "Wanna bet I'll tell your sister?" I instantly wilted. "What are you, a kid? Gonna tattle to my parents? She snatched her phone back. Aren't you the one scared of your parents? She walked to the kitchen. I followed her, mumbling, I'm not scared. Who said I'm scared? She set the dishes down. I cooked, so you wash. Or I'll call your sister right now. I glared at her. Don't forget who's paying you. She raised an eyebrow and pulled out her phone. I gave in. Fine, I'll do the dishes. Not because I'm scared, but because I care about you. I don't want you to get too tired. Aw, sweetie, she said, pinching my cheek. You're such a little clown. When I finished washing the dishes, she was on the phone. I didn't catch what the other person said, but she lazily replied, I'm busy right now, babysitting a kid. Rain check. I tried to snatch her phone to see who it was, but she gave me a look so sharp it stopped me cold, like my dad when he's pissed. All I could do was storm off to my room. Who's a kid? I felt greasy from the kitchen and ran to shower. When I came out, she was leaning on the doorframe, smirking. That eager, huh? Already showering? My face turned bright red. Obviously, I brought her here for, well, I paid so much. Just looking without touching would be a total loss. Besides, I always felt a girl's first time should be with someone she likes. And I really did like Julia. Sure, she was poor, but she had dignity. I snorted, pulled the curtain shut, and declared, Tonight, I'll show you whether I'm just a little boy. And so began our shameless, live-in relationship. Life was amazing. Although Julia, my little canary, wasn't always obedient. Sometimes she even made me do chores or play her assistant. She definitely didn't act like a proper sugar baby. Even in bed, she wouldn't listen, like she was trying to rebel. But overall, still worth every penny. I felt like I was bathing in spring breeze all day. I couldn't wait to eat with her, watch movies, then tumble into bed again. When summer break approached, I knew Julia's hometown was in City C. I was worried she'd go home to take care of her mom. I asked, So where are you going for the break? She was lying on my chest playing a mobile game. Where else would I go? Oh, she's actually asking me now? Obviously, you're staying here with me. I'll sneak out to see you. She gave me a look of disdain. And what are you doing over the break? I sighed. Before college, summer was all about cramming for exams. Brutal stuff. Without that, I never could have gotten into a top school. Now my mom said she'd start setting me up on blind dates. Someone from a good family, so we could date and get married before graduation. Rich families tend to arrange things early. Good women get snatched up fast. Of course, I couldn't tell her any of that. I mumbled, Nothing much. Just gonna chill at home. I felt guilty. I was lying to Julia. My mom had set up a huge banquet for tonight. All the high society elites were supposed to be there, and she'd even bought me an outfit worth millions. Julia finally looked up from her phone and stared at me. You did something shady, didn't you? I was about to remind her of her place, tell her not to butt in, but then my mom called. I didn't dare miss it. I shushed her and picked up. Luke, where the hell are you? The stylist's already here. Get home and do your hair. I scrambled to get dressed and rushed out. Before leaving, I told Julia, Be good and wait for me here. It was already past 3 when I got home. After getting styled, I left with my parents and sister. My mom kept listing eligible heiresses, telling me who was single and open to matchmaking. I wanted to message Julia, but not with my family watching. Last time, I nearly got caught. My sister said I was grinning at my phone like I was in love. After my mom finished, my dad turned to my sister and said, Make sure you stay close with that young lady. If she hadn't warned us, we would have lost everything. My sister nodded. Yeah, but she doesn't come to campus much. We only talked briefly at that concert. I heard she'll be here tonight, though. I'll say hi, my mom added. Yes. Go make yourself familiar. My sister looked at me. Luke, you shallow idiot. Don't fall for just anyone. She may be gorgeous, but we're way out of her league. don't get blinded. I glared. Who do you think I'd fall for? As we entered the banquet hall, I was dazzled. A few famous actresses I liked were there too. My parents mingled with everyone, making small talk. Suddenly, a wave of whispers swept through the crowd. Someone said, "She's here." Who? My mom was mid-conversation with Mrs. Miller and her daughter, but they all turned to look. Miss Miller whispered in my ear, "Someone from the Delaney family. I heard she's coming." In this city, there was only one Delaney family, and the name alone was iconic. I turned with the crowd to see who it was. And there, surrounded like a queen, was none other than Julia, the girl who was supposed to be waiting at home. My whole body went rigid. My blood stopped flowing. She walked toward us. My parents, my sister, even the Millers, all lit up with excitement like they'd just seen a long-lost friend. After a few pleasantries, she turned to my parents. "Oh? You two families are?" My mom smiled sheepishly. "Just letting the kids get to know each other." Then she introduced me. "This is my son, Luke. He's a freshman at Q University." "Ah, so this is a blind date," Julia concluded. Why hadn't I noticed before? She had a way of speaking that gave away nothing. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was putting on a show, acting all high and mighty. I wasn't happy about it. I was the sponsor here. Who gave her the right to look down on me? I felt like dying. Then, suddenly, a hand reached out in front of me. Her usual lazy, cool voice followed. "Hi, I'm Jennifer Delaney. My sister once told me, when she was young, the heiress was constantly sick. So they gave her a tough-sounding name. A master said it would help her survive." I was still dazed. My sister elbowed me, then pinched me. I quickly extended my hand and shook hers. Who would have thought? Well, we were under the same roof this afternoon, and now we're meeting like strangers at a banquet. Just then, the lights dimmed, music started, and couples began dancing in the center of the hall. She tugged me out forcefully. I stumbled after her, and we stepped into the dance floor together. Before pulling me away, she politely told my parents she was borrowing me for a moment. Stiff as a board, I followed her lead. She wrapped an arm around my waist. "Haven't seen you all afternoon. Cat, got your tongue?" I had no idea what to say. Should I get on my knees and beg now? "Luke, I never asked. So you came here for a blind date. What about me then?" She whispered by my ear, her voice gentle but terrifying. "Greedy much? Planning to make me the other woman?" My sister once said, anyone who crossed the heiress never ended well. At best, bankruptcy. At worst, total ruin. My knees buckled. "Miss, let's talk this out, okay? I'll apologize, I swear," I stammered. She twirled elegantly and asked, "Apologize? Shouldn't I be the one apologizing? I wasn't waiting obediently at home. You're the sponsor. You're supposed to be mad, right?" I glanced at her cautiously. If it weren't for all the people around, I probably would have slapped myself as penance. "It's my fault. I didn't know who I was messing with. Miss Jennifer, please be generous. Just let this one slide, okay? Don't go after my family. They don't know anything about the stupid things I did. You know how scared I am of them finding out. Love and romance meant nothing in the face of this kind of danger. My sister's 2 years younger than me. Back in high school, she came home and told us about some punk girl who messed with Jennifer. Nobody knew her identity at the time, just that she came from serious money. The punk girl was always arrogant, thought she could take anyone on. And it didn't help that a guy she liked had a crush on Jennifer. She planned to teach her a lesson. In the end, not only did the punk get beaten half to death, her family had to grovel before the Delaneys. But it didn't help. Their business tanked, then got caught for illegal activities. Several of them went to jail. They vanished completely. If my family got dragged into trouble because of my idiocy, I'd seriously want to die. The old saying, "Serving a king is like dancing with a tiger," couldn't be more true. Our family might be richer than most, But in front of real power, we were nothing. She looked at me and frowned. That scared? Who wouldn't be? Our parents always told us that to secure the family's future, we all had to work together, never do anything that could risk the family name. That's why my sister and I both accepted the idea of arranged marriage. No one dared dream of true love. If we wanted to fool around, it had to be clean and calculated. I just didn't expect I'd mess with the wrong person. I forced a weak smile. When the music ended, she let go of my hand and walked toward my parents. I followed, scared out of my mind. Jennifer chatted with my dad and sister. My mom came over, patted my hand to calm me. Why are you so skittish? I must have looked pale as a ghost. I hung my head, ashamed. I really was a coward. But Jennifer didn't seem mad. At least she was still being civil to my dad and sister, right? Plus, in the car, my sister mentioned that Jennifer had warned us about a risky investment. And it did blow up, just like she said. That thought gave me some comfort. After that, my mom introduced me to a few more people, but I couldn't focus at all. I had no idea what Jennifer really thought, but it felt like I was flat out cheating on her. Maybe she saw how shaken I was. My mom didn't make me stay long. She let me rest in a lounge while my dad finished up. We went home together afterward. At home, my sister asked, "What did she say to you? Do you two know each other?" I shook my head quickly. Nope. You said she was scary, so I was just terrified of offending her. My sister looked disappointed. Such a chicken! My mom brought me a glass of milk. Leave him be. He's always been like this. It's true. I never had much guts. One time as a kid, I didn't want to do homework, so I paid a classmate 5 yuan to do it for me. My mom checked my notebook and immediately figured it out. I confessed on the spot and handed over the dirty money. In my family, everyone's strong-willed. My parents, my sister, and then there's useless me. After I lay down, I got a message on WeChat from someone named Canary. Where are you? Come out now. I'll pick you up. I sat up in shock, locked my bedroom door, and hid in the bathroom to reply. I'm at home. Address. She replied instantly. I bit my finger, debating whether to break up with her and just give her the apartment my parents bought me as an apology. This girl, I couldn't handle her. I should just worship her like a god. If my parents found out I tried to sponsor someone, and it turned out to be a living deity, they'd kill me and cut off my allowance. I was still hesitating when her call came in. I answered nervously. Hello? Address. I used to think she was cold and curt because she was trying to be aloof, but now I knew. It was pure power. She didn't waste words on mere mortals like me. Whatever. Better to talk in person and feel her out. I gave her the address. She said she'd be there in 30 minutes. I rushed to change clothes, pressed my ear to the door to make sure it was safe to sneak out. Luckily, I slipped out undetected. Her car was parked not far from the gate. That's when I remembered. Her clothes never had logos. I used to think she shopped at farmers markets and just had great taste. Turns out, with a body like hers, anything looked couture. Maybe I was overthinking it. Everything she wore was probably custom-tailored. She always looked busy, always getting calls. I used to think people were asking her to wait tables or sell drinks. Now I realized it was probably just friends inviting her out. And there I was, clowning around like a fool, throwing tantrums and reminding her I was her sponsor, demanding she serve me. Looking back, the fact that she didn't slap me showed she had the patience of a saint. What are you sneaking glances at? She asked, eyes on the road as she drove. I nervously twisted my fingers. Where are we going? Home, she said coldly. Yeah, she was definitely mad. She had known all along that I mistook her for someone else, but let me dig my own grave. Sure, I messed up, but that made her completely innocent? Besides, it's not like I was getting a free ride. That thought gave me a sliver of confidence. I followed her back to our shared apartment. She said, I'm gonna shower. Oh, I said, instantly snapping to attention and fetching her pajamas. I never would have done that before. She gave me a half smile and walked away. Those were the longest 15 minutes of my life. While she showered, I made her a cup of honey water. I'd seen her drinking earlier. She came out in a towel, drying her hair. "Talk," she said. Her tone was casual, but there was an edge to it. I felt like a criminal under interrogation. I swallowed hard, forced myself to stop staring at her legs, and tried to meet her eyes. I couldn't. "I'm sorry," I mumbled. She tossed her towel aside. "Sorry for what? Be specific." I came clean. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you weren't Julia. I thought you were her when I gave you money and tried to help." She raised an eyebrow. "So what? I'm not good enough to be Julia." My eyes widened. I shook my head frantically. No, not at all. If I knew how valuable you were, I'd never have dared offend you." I added in a whisper, sneaking a glance at her and bowing my head again. She lit a cigarette. Click. That lighter sound made my heart race. I used to rant at her for smoking, saying it stank, that she'd get lung cancer and was selfish for subjecting me to secondhand smoke. I even tossed her cigarettes in the trash once. Let's just say there's a big difference between having power and not. Back then, when she looked at me like I was nothing, I wasn't afraid. I'd glare back, pinch her cheek, ask if she was rebelling. Now she just sat there in silence, and I was terrified. My legs were shaking like I was in first grade again, being punished for failing a dictation test. "Keep going," she said. I swallowed. "I'm sorry. I went on a blind date behind your back." She leaned in, suddenly interested. Her face was close. She grabbed my chin, forcing me to look her in the eye. "So what's the deal? You're dating me and also going on blind dates? Trying to be one of those playboys with a wife at home and mistresses outside? You want me to be your side chick?" She was smiling, but her eyes were ice cold. Back when I thought she was just Julia, I didn't even dare let her know I had a date. And now that she was Jennifer? I stuttered. No, I... My eyes darted around. Truth is, I never thought about the future. My family had everything planned out. They'd eaten more salt than I'd eaten rice. Even if I messed up, they'd clean up the mess. That's what I thought when I thought she was Julia. She clicked her tongue and let go of me. "You're really scared of me, huh?" Even if she wasn't Jennifer, just Julia, and found out I was cheating, she still wouldn't have taken it well. Like I said, she was always proud and cold. "So what now? You're the one who feels wronged, poor little you." She flicked her ash. "What about me, the victim? Should I go jump off a building?" I snapped my head up. What? Did she mean that literally? Did she expect me to jump just to make it up to her? I choked out. "If that'll make you feel better, can I jump from the second floor? I'm scared of heights." She stared at me for a long time without saying a word. Finally, she sighed and asked, "Did you ever get your IQ tested as a kid?" I didn't know why she changed the subject, but I went with it. "No, never." The only sound in the room was my sniffles. After a long pause, I asked, "Can you forgive me?" "Forgive you for what?" "For foolishly trying to sponsor you. For offering such a cheap price. For going on a blind date behind your back. And how are you going to make it up to me?" I sniffled again, pulled out a bank card I'd prepared earlier. "This has all my savings. And the apartment. It's yours too." Then, in a small voice, "Okay?" Now I finally understood why rich people just keep getting richer. Idiots like me crash into them and pay them 8 figures in apologies. "How much is in here?" she asked, holding the card with a smile. I told her. She laughed, genuinely amazed. "Wow, you really are stingy. 5 grand a month? You treating me like a beggar?" "It wasn't 5. It was 7. I corrected her. I had increased the amount after she started acting up. Just as I said that, my phone rang. It was my sister. I panicked and instinctively shushed Jennifer. then realized, who was I to shush her now? Awkwardly, I picked up the call. Open the door! Crap! I'd locked my bedroom door to make it seem like I was sleeping. I yawned, trying to sound groggy. Sis, can't it wait till tomorrow? I'm already in bed. I'm outside, at the gate of your 20 complex. I froze, eyes wide, just before she hung up. What do I do? My sister's outside. Jennifer gave me a slow, amused look. Compared to her, I really was closer to my sister. Whatever. I'll just confess and beg her to help me figure out how to apologize. I braced myself to go open the door, but Jennifer grabbed my wrist. And how are you going to explain us to her? I'll say I owe you money from gambling, okay? She stared at me blankly. My sister stormed in, face like frost, swinging a golf club. Where's that skank? Tell her to get out here. Trying to seduce my brother? She's got a death wish. I pressed myself flat against the wall, wishing I could melt into it. I still remember, growing up, anytime someone bullied me, my sister would beat them so hard they couldn't find their teeth. It was terrifying, but also comforting. It's probably why I turned out so timid. Sis, calm down. Maybe this time. I didn't even finish saying you can't win. Jennifer stepped out of the bedroom, fully dressed, cigarette between her fingers. She looked at my sister and said calmly, "You were looking for me?" My sister froze like a statue. Half an hour later, Jennifer was lounging on the couch, smiling pleasantly. She said to my parents, "Uncle, Auntie, please sit."
That's right.
Well, after my sister turned to stone, I quickly whispered the whole story to her. Her glare could have shredded me alive. Then she apologized to Jennifer. Jennifer didn't say much, just kept up a polite smile. After that, my sister called my parents over. They arrived, sweating and bowing, apologizing profusely. Only then did Jennifer warm up a little and offered them a seat. She said, "It's my fault. I'm dating Luke, and he went on a blind date. I must not have done enough." I stood to the side with my head down, like a student whose parents were called in and was about to be executed. My dad quickly apologized. "It's our fault. We didn't raise him right. He's immature and irresponsible. Miss Jennifer, please don't hold it against him. If there's anything I can do to make up for it, I'll do it without hesitation." "Uncle, please don't say that. I'm the younger one here. You're putting me in a tough spot. I really thought Luke was forced into that blind date." "I thought he had no choice." "I wasn't. No one forced me. I jumped in. If someone had to be blamed, let it be me. I didn't want my parents dragged into this." My mom snapped, "No one asked you. Shut your mouth." So I did. Jennifer finally said, "It's fine. I probably didn't do well enough before. I'll try to treat him better, so he doesn't stray again." "Stray? What the hell?" Yes. He'll never go on another blind date." My parents chimed in with forced smiles. Then Jennifer added, "It's getting late. Uncle, Auntie, why don't you stay the night?" My parents declined immediately and left with my sister. Jennifer returned to the bedroom. I stared at the now empty living room, completely lost. What was she planning? My sister texted me, telling me not to piss Jennifer off and that she'd talk to me tomorrow. My chest tightened. I was scared she'd beat me. Or worse, I tiptoed back to the room. Jennifer was already asleep, but I could tell. She still hadn't forgiven me. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't handle Julia, let alone Jennifer. "Come here," she said suddenly, eyes still closed. I froze for a second, then crawled into bed beside her and whispered, "I'm sorry." The dim wall lamp cast shadows on her features. She looked like a goddess. My heart ached. I really did like her. I was a sucker for beauty. But if she was Jennifer, then I definitely couldn't keep liking her. We had no future, not even the illusion of one. She opened her eyes. "Why do you never focus on what matters?" "I suck at reading comprehension," I replied. always failed those questions. Then give me a model answer. I'll memorize it going forward, deal? I hugged her soft, warm body. From now on, I'll behave. You say left, I'll never go right. She chuckled. Isn't that unfair to you, sugar daddy? Don't rub it in, I groaned. My parents are gonna kill me. My sister, too. This whole thing was a mess from the start. I never should have gone looking for my sister that day. I never should have let my hormones talk me into sponsoring Jennifer. Thinking back on how it all started, I feel like I lost more than I gained. And now, since she hadn't brought up breaking up, if I wanted to stay with her, I had to play it safe. I serve her, cater to her. I'd be on the losing end for sure, but I didn't dare break up with her either. The blind date thing alone had already pissed her off. I didn't want to make it worse. Plus, she made my parents promise in front of her. From now on, did that mean she had all the power in our relationship? What if this was all revenge, and she really planned to make me her side piece? That terrifying thought haunted me as I drifted to sleep. But the next morning, to my shock, Jennifer made breakfast. Just like always. It was simple and didn't meet my usual standards, but things had changed. She was different now. I was anxious and kicking myself for not waking up earlier to help her. I'd slept like a log. After breakfast, she left. I didn't even dare ask where she was going. I was still slowly finishing my food when my sister messaged me, telling me to come home. When I got there, my parents and sister were seated in the living room like a tribunal, ready to judge me. I hung my head and retold the whole story. I'd really shot myself in the foot this time. Jennifer had even taken all my savings. No wonder she was rich. If she dated a few more suckers like me, she'd hit billions with ease. I got whipped with a feather duster. My palms stung. They told me to wait and see. If Jennifer wanted things to stay as they were, don't offend her. If she wanted to break up, I should disappear without complaint. Then came exam month, the painful finals period. But honestly, it was a relief. I could finally escape the emotional wreckage of my canary-turned-heiress. I told everyone I was studying at the library every day, came home late, and spent way less time with Jennifer. It was great! Still, I miss the days we stayed in. Me acting up, making her do this and that, glued to her side. But I had a feeling those days were gone forever. Jennifer was busy. My sister said she was swamped, not just with exams, but with work stuff too. I'd really been an idiot to cling to her like that. After finals, I barely passed. I was thrilled. Obstacles were meant to be overcome. Once school was officially out, I didn't know what to do. Go home to my parents? Or back to the place I shared with Jennifer? Both had pros and cons. Just as I was feeling lost, a car pulled up in front of me. It was Jessica Miller, the girl I'd been on a blind date with. She said she guessed I was done with finals and wanted to take me out to celebrate. She was so friendly, I couldn't say no. After all, we'd probably be in the same circle someday. And if Jennifer and I broke up, I'd need other options. When Jennifer wasn't around, I got bold again. Jessica and I had a great time at dinner. Unlike Jennifer's aloofness, Jessica was warm, chatty, and funny. I realized how little I actually knew about women. There were so many types out there. So far, I'd only had a deep connection with Jennifer, but I was definitely drawn to her icy, untouchable charm. Who knows? Maybe if I met a cheerful, sunny beauty, I'd be just as hooked. I felt like I needed to broaden my horizons. If I broke up with Jennifer, I wouldn't go on blind dates anymore. I'd fall in love over and over. I'd collect 81 different types of women, like I used to collect plant specimens. I'd even make an album, categorize and summarize them. That would be an achievement. Just as I was happily fantasizing about the future, Jessica suddenly stood up in surprise and greeted, "Miss Jennifer, what a coincidence!" I turned around, startled, and saw Jennifer standing there, her gaze icy. She didn't even acknowledge Jessica's outstretched hand. Jessica glanced between me and Jennifer, then quickly found an excuse and fled. Jennifer sat down across from me, face dark. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Just having a meal with a friend," I muttered. "We ran into each other, and she offered to treat me. I didn't want to be rude, so I came along. That's all. I didn't mean anything by it." Her lips curled into a cold smirk. "You think I believe that?" "I think you don't trust me," I said. "I don't know why you'd think that." "I'd never dare cross you. My parents even promised you I'd be good. I don't see the point of being so guarded against me." I hesitated, then added softly, "I'm really honest. I'm a decent guy. I've never even dated anyone before you. And you, well, I doubt I'm your first love, right? Shouldn't I be the one more worried?" "Do you know what your biggest tell is when you're guilty?" she asked, eyes fixed on me. "You talk too much." "That's not true." "Last time you caught me on a blind date, I barely said a word. Because you were afraid I'd take it out on your family. I had no comeback for that. All I could do was meekly apologize. I'm sorry. I won't have meals with any girls anymore. And if I do, I'll tell you first, okay?" She nodded like a queen granting mercy. She was terrifying. Being with her was like walking on eggshells. That summer, I didn't go home. I stayed at Jennifer's luxury apartment. It was close to her office, so she found it convenient. She even started bringing me to her work events, introducing me to people. My parents weren't sure if she was seriously dating me or just playing around. They told me not to get ahead of myself. My sister warned me not to fall in love with Jennifer. Hell, if she dumped me, I'd be devastated. But I figured she was overthinking it. I'd survived the gauntlet of the college entrance exam. No way I'd lose my head over a relationship. After a few weeks of walking on eggshells, I realized nothing had really changed. When I thought she was Julia, she was already pretty bossy. Never let me order her around without pushback. Now that she was Jennifer, it was just the same. Except now I didn't dare boss her around. If I wanted a drink while watching TV, or wanted fruit, or anything really, I got it myself. Whether she served me depended entirely on her mood. One afternoon, she came home, and I was still asleep. I'd stayed up late the night before, secretly on my phone. The maid had already made dinner. She asked, "What did you do today?" I bit my chopsticks, hesitant. I didn't go out. I just slept. I'd slept the whole day and talked to no one. That couldn't be wrong, right? One benefit of dating her, and she never criticized me for sleeping in. At home, my parents believed skipping breakfast was bad for my health. So if I overslept, they'd scold or wake me up. Now, I happily picked up a piece of salmon. My favorite. "So, this is your plan for the whole summer?" she asked. I sneaked a glance at her. I was gonna travel, but no money now. My roommates were already off in Europe. My parents stopped giving me allowance. They just loaded a few grand onto my meal card and told me to eat on campus so I wouldn't spend it all on mistresses. Jennifer had confiscated my cash, said she'd manage my finances. If I wanted to spend anything, I had to ask her. "Come to work with me tomorrow," she said. "Once I get a break, we'll travel together." I pointed at myself wanting to protest, but I couldn't think of anything. I gave up. My life was fully planned out again. What a useless human I was. Elementary, middle, and high school. Every step was set. Now it was the same. Jennifer was just a department deputy, not even a full executive. I thought someone like her would at least parachute in as CEO. She was truly busy. At work, she wore another face. Colder, more efficient. Honestly, seeing her so decisive and capable made me wonder how she'd put up with a useless lump like me for so long. I was placed in the admin office for an internship, basic errands and coffee runs. Then the chairman called me in for a private chat. I panicked and texted Jennifer, afraid I was about to be propositioned. She calmly replied, "Do your best." I was completely confused. Turned out, the chairman was her second uncle. He just asked about my family and said if Jennifer bullied me, to let him know, he'd straighten her out. Then he said he'd invite my family over for dinner that weekend. That escalated fast. That afternoon, I called my mom and told her. She drove over and took me to a cafe downstairs for a chat. After a pause, she asked, "Do you like her?" I was touched. My mom never asked about my feelings. She was usually the type who decided what was good for me. If she approved, I had to accept it. If she disapproved, I had to give it up. No matter how much I liked it. She said I had no judgment and needed her to choose for me. I hadn't even answered when she said, "Forget it. If you can get in with the Delaney family, it doesn't matter whether you like her or not. And since this whole mess is your fault, you'd better play the role perfectly." My tear of gratitude dried up. I half listened as she laid out pros and cons. Jennifer had actually been good to us. Our business was now thriving thanks to her. But the downside? Her family's power was immense. If she decided to crush me, I'd have no way to fight back. Honestly, I'd never dared imagine I could have a real future with someone like Jennifer. I was giddy with excitement. There's something magical about falling for a goddess on a pedestal. I loved her cold, aloof, untouchable vibe. So naturally, I went back to my old self. That night, I asked her to scrub my back. It's a big job. Takes too long and wears me out. Back when she was Julia, I used to threaten her into helping. She'd complain that I let myself marinate too long. Now, she gave me a side glance. "Do it yourself. No way." I immediately snatched her magazine and tossed it aside. "Hurry up and scrub me, or I'll hit you." She smirked. "What? One meeting with my uncle and now you've got a spine?" I grinned smugly. "Of course. We're basically meeting the parents and getting married. You're my girlfriend. It's your job to take care of me." She shook her head, smiling. "So, you used to think we had no future?" I nodded. "And yet, you still lived with me all that time?" I didn't know if she was praising me or calling me a shameless freeloader. "Well, either way, I have good taste." "It's still you." She picked up my hand and slipped a ring on my finger. "Don't ever take it off." I stared at the big diamond on my hand, then at her. I nodded like a puppy. She smiled, genuinely, a rare, real smile. Not the fake or mocking kind she usually wore. I wish I could have captured that moment forever. Extra Jennifer's Pove. Jennifer rarely stayed in the dorms, but if she had classes, she sometimes dropped by for a midday nap. That day, someone in class accidentally spilled milk tea all over her clothes. Her roommate Isabel offered her own outfit and told her to go grab it herself. So after Jennifer finished showering, she stepped out and saw a very good-looking boy at the door looking for Isabel. When he looked at her, his eyes sparkled like a lovesick puppy. He seemed way cleaner and more innocent than the usual guys. Yeah, she thought he was a sweet little angel. But then he shamelessly told her he wanted to sponsor her for $50 a month and acted like he was being super generous. When she told her besties about it, they laughed until they cried. Said she wasn't worth anything anymore, even though she was a Miss Capital Circle. On impulse, she agreed, just to see how he'd react once he found out who she really was. She watched him clown around every day, asking her out with misplaced confidence, whining that she only let him look but never touch, even scolding her for being an ungrateful sugar baby. She seriously wanted to smack him sometimes. Isabel used to tell everyone her brother was a good boy, just a bit lazy. Jennifer started to find being around him oddly entertaining. He was such a funny mix. Cowardly, but tried to act cocky, always wanting to dominate her, but the second she turned the pressure up, he caved. Mentioned telling his sister, and he immediately begged for mercy. Honestly, he was a natural at knowing his place. She had dated someone before, just once, for a month. The guy was too eager to please, too accommodating. It didn't feel like dating, it felt like managing a subordinate. Boring. But Luke was never boring. He reached new levels of idiocy every day. He was also ridiculously stingy, always grumbling that he gave her 70% of his allowance, claiming he was treating her too well. Between school and work, hanging out with Luke on her free days became something she actually looked forward to. She even started wondering, maybe everyone had it wrong. Maybe she had it wrong. Everyone said she needed a perfect boyfriend, someone 100 out of 100, someone you could attach every good adjective to. But the one she actually liked turned out to be a reckless, stingy guy who leered at her and groped her at every opportunity, cowardly and sneaky, like a mouse stealing cheese. And yet, when his mom texted him to perform well on a blind date, she couldn't help laughing out of anger. He always wanted to check her phone, but his had long been hacked by her. She even set up location sharing. She knew where he was at all times, just never exposed it. His search history? Stuff like, what to do when your canary is cold to you? Should I tell my sugar baby I'm going on a blind date? How to be a scumbag without guilt. How to hide a mistress. He was the kind of kid who'd been controlled too long, worn a good boy mask too long, and needed to act out in secret. A late-blooming rebel who waited till after the college entrance exam to start. Jennifer was mad and heartbroken. She really wanted to hit him. She could tell he really liked her, but he didn't want to give anything. Just sneak around and enjoy. Finding out who she really was had scared him to tears. He'd cried in those little hiccuping sobs. Pitiful, really, she reminded herself. Pitiful people often do hateful things. If she didn't scare him, he'd never behave. She liked him too, probably because he was so full of contradictions. Bold one second, masking everything the next, always testing her limits, all bark and no bite. She loved their sticky, cozy moments together. On hot afternoons with the curtains drawn, cool air filling the room, lying together on the couch. He'd hold her while they watched a movie. She loved when he fed her fruit. His face was deceivingly gentle, making her heart melt. No wonder her sister was always scared someone would snatch him away. Who would have thought he would be the one to approach her, saying out loud that he wanted to sponsor her? Her friends would never let her live that down. Whatever. She still ended up with a husband who was both handsome and clever, even if he drove her crazy. Life was definitely more interesting now. Watching his sleepy, dazed face, his long lashes fluttering, she leaned down and kissed him gently. He blushed right away and turned the other cheek toward her, saying, "Wife, kiss this side too."